Message from General Pepper. Priority 1.
We need your help, Star Fox. Andross has declared war. He's invaded the Lilat system and is trying to take over Corneria. Our army alone can't do the job. Hurry, Star Fox.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good to see ya. So here's something different. Welcome to Star Fox 64 because I felt like it. Yeah, okay, Metroid Prime Review, not happening for a while. Playing through all 3 games, 2 versions of some of them, recording all the footage, and making an hour-and-a-half long video because the script ended up longer every time I went back to clean it up and try to tighten it up. Yeah, figure that out. It's too much work. There's no way I'm finishing that this month. So I'm moving it to June. You have all month to work on that. And here's a little something for this month. I try to do something substantial every month, you know, be it a review of Bionicle figures or a game. And, well, I'm kind of in a Star Fox mood because of the release of Star Fox Zero. I've enjoyed that game quite a bit, started replaying a bunch of the other Star Fox games, and you know, I have a new Hog, the Exo Paradigm Gamer, kindly sent me in the mail. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to play Star Fox 64. So I took a couple days to just record footage for this, and I put it together in 5 parts that I'm going to be releasing today through Friday. So it's not really going to take too much time out of other things that I should be doing. But, you know, I wanted to give you guys something this month to enjoy. So between this and, you know, the things I want to see in future Star Fox games video, and the Unverse Cast podcast video that I recently appeared in, and Exo Paradigm Gamer's part 6 of his LP of Star Fox Zero, we're just going to make this Star Fox month. Just nothing but Star Fox all month. And then things are going to go back to normal, with next month being Metroid Prime month, I suppose. So yeah, welcome to Star Fox 64. This is one of my favorite games, and I hope that I do it justice. I'll explain how the things are going to be a little different in a little bit.
Welcome to training mode.
Just a sec, Rob.
Let's practice the basics.
Okay, so Star Fox 64 is a little weird. I'm not going to delve too much into the mechanics because you see that little guy in the corner will explain everything to you. But this game is 15 levels, 16 if you include the training sequence that I'm going through right now, but you can only ever go through 7 levels in any one run because it has multiple pathways. You know, you have one at the start, one at the end, and then it splits into like 2 and then 3 paths between them. So if you want to do like all 15 levels, you're going to have to do several runs of the game, which I don't have a problem with. You know, I enjoy like the replay value of this game, but if I'm going to do an LP of it, I want to show every level in as close to a chronological order as I possibly can. So that's how this playthrough is going to be a little different from others. So, you know, this video is going to include this training sequence, Corneria, Medio, and Starwolf. And then after that, I'm going to start mixing things up with other levels and going in completely different orders than you would probably expect. So this video is playing up pretty straight, but you'll see how things change like in part 2 and 3 and so on. And I'm going to upload them all this week, so you won't have to wait too long for any of them. And yeah, just a little something extra. Right now, it's telling you how to charge up to hit multiple enemies. That's a trick that you'll see me using a lot in this playthrough. Like, yeah, so it took me only like 2 days to record like all the footage I needed. Did like 5 or 6 runs of the game because it only takes about half an hour to 40 minutes to beat any one time. Collecting 3 of these gold rings will extend your shield gauge, you know, so that's you gotta keep an eye out for it. Whatever. I'll get into that later. So I just picked a laser power up. This strengthens your laser. You know, first like you had the one on the front on the nose, and now you have like 2 that are on the blue engines on the sides. And now the lasers are blue, which makes them twice as powerful as the green lasers. So now I am 4 times as strong as I was when I first entered this stage. Now, unlike Star Fox Zero and other games where you have to collect the laser power-ups again every stage, this one lets you keep it from stage to stage as long as you don't get too damaged and clip one of your wings. They usually expect you to boost through that line of rings there, but I usually don't because it takes so long for the gauge to refill that I end up not being able to somersault through those other rings right next to it. So, this is pretty standard. I think it's one of the better tutorials in any game because it's completely out of the way. It's up to the player whether they want to go through here or not, and it goes at a nice pace, and it teaches the player everything they need to know about controlling the R-Wing. So anyway, probably wondering why the heck I'm doing an LP of this game. I do LPs you know, like once every year or two, and not very often at all. And they're usually of games that I just want to spread the word about and give some love, but people have already been singing this game's praises for years, but I still have some things to say about it, and believe it or not, there are some people who still don't know that much about this game, or its levels, or its story, or anything. So, I'm going to show people, you know, what all the hubbub of this game is, and just why people like me enjoy it so much. Yeah, there are other great playthroughs of this game, of the original Nintendo 64 version, like Clements and Brain Scratches, I suppose. But those playthroughs are really old, and I figured, you know what, it's been so long since those were done, I don't think Clement would really mind somebody else making a kind of similar playthrough. I'm not gonna go quite as in-depth with everything as he did. If you enjoyed this playthrough, I recommend you go and check his LP as well. Just because, you know, even I enjoy it. I still go back to it sometimes to listen to him talk while I draw. So anyway, now it's introducing all-range mode. This is interesting. It's kind of like another playstyle, and it's sort of like the targeting view introduced in Star Fox Zero, especially when you pull the camera back like I'm about to do. The tutorial is essentially over. I made it through all 100 rings, not something I manage to do very often. And now it's just letting you kill enemies at your leisure. You know, there's no real end to this. You know, Rob told you, great, now let's get back to the game. But you can just keep killing enemies here as long as you want. And I was going to try to cut this sequence. I was going to try to end this by flying through a gold ring that I saw, and then editing it with a flash and the Sonic like victory anthem to make it look like I went through the kind of ring in Sonic Adventure 2, but whatever. We're just jump cutting to the main game. So I'm gonna stop for a minute and let this guy take over.
Corneria, fourth planet of the Lilat system. The evil Andros turned this once thriving system into a wasteland of near extinction. General Pepper of the Cornerian army was successful in exiling this maniacal scientist to the barren, deserted planet Venom. 5 years later, General Pepper noticed strange activity coming from Venom. James McCloud, Pigma Dangar, and Peppy Hare of the Star Fox team were sent to investigate. Upon their arrival, Pigma betrayed the team, and James and Peppy were captured by Andros. Peppy barely escaped Venom and returned home to tell James' son, Fox, about his father's fate. A few years have passed. Andros has again invaded the Lilat system. General Pepper has turned to a new Star Fox team, headed by Fox McCloud, to save Corneria and free the Lilat system once again.
Did you get all that? Yeah, those who are familiar with Star Fox Zero but not so familiar with this game may be kind of surprised but that this intro cutscene is almost exactly the same as the one in that game. It's basically a remake or like reimagining of this one. So anyway, here's the map. You can see all the levels are kind of lined up into 2 and then 3 paths, with Corneria one end and Venom at the other. They kind of intend for you to just go along one path and stick to it, but there are ways to change to whichever path you prefer if there are some levels you like more than others. I'm gonna be explaining, you know, what's a little interesting about like all these planets, what makes them different. But like always, we're gonna start at Corneria.
It's about time you showed up, Fox. You're the only hope for our world.
I'll do my best. Andros won't have his way with me.
Good luck.
Open the wings. Check your G-diffuser system.
Falco here. I'm fine.
This is Peppy. All systems go.
Flippy here. I'm okay.
I see him up ahead. Let's rock and roll.
I love that intro cutscene. It never gets boring for me. I watch it almost every time I replay this game. So yeah, welcome to Star Fox 64. This game is super fun. It's an arcade shooter. The whole point of it is just to blow up enemies and try to blow up a few more each time you replay it. I usually get all those guys by hitting the one in the middle. Yeah, locking on is kind of weird. It's like when you lock onto an enemy, the resulting explosion will also destroy enemies around it. And if you manage to hit the middle enemy in that clump of them, you'll blow up all of them and get extra points. So let's talk about points for a moment. Points are one of the big things about this game, any game like this. Like, people have told me this game is super duper easy, and yeah, okay, it kind of is. It's not that demanding, but the point of it isn't simply to beat it. The point of it is to keep coming back to it over and over and over again and try to kill just a few more enemies each time. Just try to get that hit counter to go a little bit higher and like find the best route with the most exploitable spots to get more points. Like, that's the entire point of games like this, and that's why, they're pretty short, they're easy to come back to, because they don't mean for you to play it just one time and then be so fulfilled by it that you never feel a need to come back to it. So anyway, yeah, hits are a hugely important thing. The best way to get hits is to find clumps of enemies and hit them with a charge shot, because if that shot also takes down other enemies, you will get additional points. You won't just get 1 point per enemy. If there are 4 enemies together, you'll get a point for the other 3 that are destroyed. So you end up getting like 7 points instead of 4 points. That's the best way I can explain it. But you can also... Oh, I'll explain the whole character system in a second. So anyway, you can also exploit it by just shooting a charge shot near an enemy so it just hits the ground or a wall, and that will also give you points, even if it doesn't destroy the enemy. You'll see me using that a lot in Macbeth, and I'll show you how you can exploit that. So anyway, Falco, one of your teammates, he's not dead, don't worry, he can come back. This game is an interesting teammate system, where if one of your teammates' ships is like too damaged for them to keep fighting in one stage, they won't be present for the next stage because they'll be in the Great Fox, their mothership, and his R-Wing is being repaired. But then he'll appear in the next stage after that, with like his health completely refilled. So there are several points where your enemies will, where your friends will be attacked by swarms of other enemies, and you have just a short chance to try to save their butts. And if I had saved Falco and flown through all those arches back there, things would go a little differently. I'm going to show both of the bosses in this stage in this video, because yeah, this stage is the entire game in a nutshell. If you meet certain requirements, you will unlock another path. But because I failed to in this this run, I'm being demoted to the bottom path, and I'm fighting probably the most pathetic, easiest boss in the entire game. I let this battle go on for a little too long. Normally, I would have beat him right about now. So yeah, most of this stage was on rails, but now we're in all range mode, so you get to see a little more of what that's like. It's not perfect. It is nice though that they gave you a radar in the bottom so you can see where the boss is. Like, all of your teammates have their own colored arrows, and that big box in the middle is the boss. So what do you do to take this guy down? Well, you just blast one of his legs, and then he'll be almost completely helpless. He'll still blast lasers at you, but that's all he can really do. Then you just hit the back, the weak spot, the green spot, and what's his name? Sorry, I'm trying to see this guy's name because I have them all written down somewhere. Granga. Yeah. Alright, this is Granga's mech. The pilot's name is Granga. He's probably the only bad guy in this game besides Andros who has a name, and he's dead. Just like that. Yeah, I love how every time you defeat a boss in this game, there's like a resulting nuclear explosion. It's insane.
We're heading out. All aircraft report.
You did it! I was worried for a moment.
Yeah, okay, so like I said, I was going to show you both paths. I decided not to show that entire cutscene because you're going to see the exact same one in a minute. So this time I'm going to save Falco. You can chase after them and lock onto the enemies or just shoot them all down individually, but I usually like to just throw a bomb Falco's way just because he's such a smug asshole. Don't worry, there's no way you'll damage him enough to take him out unless he's like on his last legs. He can take it, but the enemies can't. And there's Peppy saying the line that would cement this game in history. Everyone remembers this game for that stupid line. I have no idea why everyone quotes it. It's become this huge meme. It was part of like Nintendo's whole marketing of Star Fox Zero. It's like, do a barrel roll, do a barrel roll. I really don't get it, but whatever. This time I'm flying through all the arches. which I don't think is too cryptic. I mean, you see things like these and you just kind of have this natural inclination to need to fly under them just to see what'll happen or to prove that you can. And, you know, there's this thing right after it. You know, every time you pass through that, you're going to be wondering what it is, so you'll be curious about it, and you'll try to experiment and figure out how to follow it. And this is it. If you manage to keep Falco in the fight to this point and make it through under those arches, he'll spot the enemy, and you'll go down this other path to face a much more interesting boss. Not much harder. It's still pretty easy, especially when you have your lasers fully upgraded, which never takes very long to do. You just have to get like 2 power-ups. But, oh yeah, I managed to take down more than 150 enemies. And so that'll get me a medal at the end.
Ah, someone wants to play.
Incoming enemy from the rear. Drop altitude.
Enemy field analyzed.
Deploy all units. Charge!
This is the attack carrier. It's a boss that originally appeared in Star Fox for the Super Nintendo. They brought back for this game, and it also reappears as a much later boss in Star Fox Zero, and the fight is quite different, so kudos to them for managing not to just do the same thing over and over again. But anyway, this is a pretty fun boss, and it's a lot more cinematic than the other one. This one isn't in all range mode. You just, blast the chunks of it and then take down the middle part. That's basically all that happens. We know that the pilot of the robot was Granga because it's called Granga's mech, but I have no idea what this guy's name is.
Who are you guys?
We're Star Fox.
You'll never defeat Andros!
We're heading out. All aircraft report.
You did it! I was worried for a moment.
You're becoming more like your father. I'm fine. You okay over there, Fox?
Okay, so every level has a certain, not requirement, but it's like if you manage to take down a certain number of enemies, you'll get an extra life, and if you manage to take out enough, you'll get a medal. As you can see on the map, I already have medals for all of these planets. That's also why the intro screen was a little different than you may have seen it in other people's videos. So anyway, I'm not going to be getting every single medal in this game, but you'll see me get most of them. So because I beat the attack carrier, I can go to Sector Y on the top path if I want to. But I want to show these stages in a certain order, so I'm going to go to Medio. Now the interesting thing is, even if you change your path, you can still change it back and forth. Until you finally select a level, you're not really making a commitment. But once you do, you're stuck on that path until you change things again.
Impressive, Star Fox. Now watch out for enemies in the asteroid field.
I won't let you down, sir.
Good luck.
Things are starting to heat up.
Quit dinking around, Clip. We're heading into the asteroid.
And welcome to Medio. You're gonna see me make a jump cut in just a moment because I liked this footage, this run much better, even though I had to restart the stage at one point. That's why you see I have the pathetic little green laser that's only a fourth as strong as I was a minute ago. So yeah, this, if you don't like that this playthrough is just not real, that I'm just cutting from level to level in a certain order, I'm sorry, but I want to show everything that I love about this game, all of its high notes, all of its great moments that just made it one of my favorite games to come back to.
Too quiet. Be careful, it's a trap!
I think Medio is a great second level for players that are just getting used to the game, because they still take plenty of opportunities to teach you certain things that you may not know if you skip the training sequence at the start. And it's just a very nice level. It's one of the longer levels in the game. There are entire stretches of it where for several seconds there'll be basically nothing. I guess they're trying to craft an atmosphere, you know, they're trying to make it kind of tense. And for the most part, yeah, it does a really good job. But it's another one of those really iconic stages that people remember because there's a lot of moments like this. Yeah, these asteroids are huge. There is no way to destroy them. You just gotta try to avoid crashing into them.
Whoa! Can you make it?
Use the brake! Use the boost to get through!
So far, I've been playing this pretty straight. Oh, by the way, yeah, you may have noticed that when you press one of the C pads, I don't even know what they're called, you know, the yellow buttons, Rob will send you something. So there'll be points where you're completely surrounded by enemies, or you're mashing the other buttons, and you gotta take a second to press out of the button, and who knows, you think this might get easier. But sometimes you're so caught up in a fight that you might not press in time. Anyway, I got a laser power up, so now my lasers are, you know, a bit stronger, and things will be a little easier for me.
Thanks, Fox.
Yeah, if I failed to protect Peppy there, he would have been knocked out of the stage, and I wouldn't be able to play alongside him again until the 4th stage. And the other games really punish you like that. It seems like they do the thing where, you know, the characters will get attacked, but it's mostly there to annoy you. It doesn't really have any consequences in the stage after that. It only seems to be the case with this game.
The enemy's coming from behind!
Not that I have a problem with that, you know, it makes things a little less annoying in the other games, but then, like, if nothing happens afterward, it makes you kind of wonder, well, then why bother having to protect them? Well, they do find certain ways to justify it in the other ones, like in Star Fox Assault, they'll give you items. If you manage to protect them, anyway. In this one, it's like if I didn't protect Falco in the previous stage, he wouldn't take out some of these enemies for me. And there's even like a couple of like things like a gold ring that he finds for you in a meteor that you can't destroy, but somehow he manages to do it. And he even changes things up a little bit with the boss that we'll see in a minute. So yeah, this is a really nice stage. Tons of action, lots of really tense moments. It's very movie-like. That's one thing that people love about this game, is there's a lot of moments that feel like highlights of some scene in a Star Wars-y kind of movie. It's just some kind of interesting because they could have played this straight. They could have just, you know, had like one character blazing through the whole thing with no comm chatter, no other characters chiming in, and just hordes of enemies coming at you. But no, it's like here they create actual set pieces and they make the characters and even some of the bosses pretty endearing. And it's just one of the things that people love about this game. They have like 700 to 800 lines of recorded dialogue. In case you're wondering what I'm doing with those rings, if you manage to fly through all of them, you unlock a warp stage. I'll show that in the next part, but for now I'm just going to take down the boss and show you how things play out normally. We're coming up to the very end of the stage now. I mean, I know I said it's really long. It really just feels long because of the occasional stretch of almost nothing, but again, it's just part of the atmosphere. They're trying to show, you know, there are enemies hiding around every corner. Anyway, it's a good stage. You can see now we're approaching another planet.
I cannot allow you to go any further.
And now we come to one of my favorite bosses.
Enemy field analyzed.
Let's see what you've got.
This is the Medio Crusher. Again, I don't know what the pilot's name is. They kind of neglected to give all the pilots names, but whatever. So there are several phases to this boss fight, and it's not necessarily very hard, but it is pretty tense, especially if you're new to this game. There are several phases to it, and it just keeps getting more intense as it goes on. One of my favorite things about it is the pilot himself. He is such a smug git at the start of the fight, but as it goes on, you see him start to lose his composure just a little bit, and then by the end of it, you know, you can see he's kind of stressed, kind of on his last legs. So you just have to shoot the yellow spots. That's essentially how most of these fights go. You just find the flashing spot and...
match for you. I admit defeat. Are you gonna listen to that monkey? You're not as stupid as you look!
If Slippy wasn't here, because he's the guy who, you know, shows you the health meters of the bosses, this might actually fool some people and be a really cool moment.
Believe I lost to this scum! Sorry to jet.
but I'm in a hurry.
And if Falco wasn't here, he wouldn't have seen through this guy's lies, and he would have just said, "If this does not work," you know, blowing his own cover. So yeah, I love most of the bosses in this game, as you'll see, but this one is especially interesting to me just because there are so many different ways it can play out depending on who makes it this far into the stage with you. Like, I'm sure it was all super obvious to you that that last attack was coming, even if you've never seen this game before, but I have no doubt that back in the day when this game was new, for people who didn't bring Slippy or Falco along, that may have ended up being one of the most legitimately shocking and intense moments in the game, that it may have actually fooled them and really surprised them. And I kind of admire them for including a moment like that this early in the game to make an impression on people. There are a lot of great scenes like that you just kind of remember forever, and you know that's one of them. So yeah, this game is pretty cool, guys. I got a medal in this stage for getting 200 hits. I only need to take down like 150 enemies in the last one. So yeah, the medals, it varies depending on like how many enemies are in any one given stage, and I'd say it's pretty fair. So up until now, I've been playing this pretty straight, but after I beat this next stage, I'm going to take a couple detours and go to other stages that you normally wouldn't see this early in a Star Fox 64 playthrough. You'll see.
Recover our base from the enemy army.
Roger, General.
Just to clear things up, this is not Fortuna. Fortuna is a jungle planet elsewhere in the Lattice system. We don't see it in this game, but we see it in some other games like Star Fox Zero. This is Fichina, Winter World, sort of like Hoth from The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, they kind of fudged up with the names, but they fixed it and changed it to Fichina in later versions of the game, like the 3DS version.
I'm on your side.
Sorry about that, Falco. I may as well point this out now. To my knowledge, Falco is like everyone's favorite of the three teammates, and I can hardly blame. Sorry, Falco, I shot him again. Yeah, he's probably my favorite of the three as well. He's just such a snarky asshole. It's like that's the entire point of his character, is just to be snarky and constantly just be petulant and goofy, and it's hard not to like a character like that. Like, he's never really that mean. You do see some of his softer moments in some of these stages, but he's one of the most easily quotable characters in the game. Yeah, like, all of these characters are pretty quotable. So yeah, this stage takes place entirely in all-range mode. Sometimes your teammates will be attacked by enemies and you'll have to chase them down. Just use the radar if you don't know where they are. Also, about the gold rings, I should probably mention that you bring the gold rings you had in the last stage with you into a new stage. So if you only had one gold ring, well, you'll bring it to the next stage. If you had two, you'll bring those two. And that's a really good way to kind of cheese these stages a little bit, because if you come into one of them with two rings, well then you only need to collect one gold ring in that stage to extend your shield gauge and have a lot more health. So there's a
Bomb
tip.
has been planted at the base.
Jeez! Can anyone take care of it?
Can't let you do that, Starfox.
Andros has ordered us to take you down.
Hey, long time no see. Andros' enemy is my enemy. Just what I need to see. Starwolf.
Say hello to Starwolf, everybody! It's another thing people love about this game, and it's not hard to see why. Starwolf is pretty great. So, you know, Andros has all these space armadas and giant monsters and shit, but you gotta anticipate everything when you're trying to take over the galaxy. So he thinks, you know what, I want my own Star Fox. I want my own team so that in the worst case scenario where none of my other forces are able to stop these guys will. So he hires Wolf O'Donnell, one of the most vicious mercenaries in the galaxy. And they find Leon in a bar on Venom, and he proves his mettle. And they find Pigma, who's, you know, we've already established what a bad guy he is.
What the heck?
Of course, if you really want to match Star Fox blow for blow, you gotta have 4 members. So, enter Andrew Awakenee. Andros is an annoying, whiny nephew that he can't stand. He's like, oh, can he just hang out with you guys for a while? So he built ships for all of them called Wolfins, and Starwolf was born. Now this stage is really interesting, because this is going to be most, like, new players' first chance to ascend to one of the higher tiers. You have a very clear objective. Just take down all 4 members of Starwolf within a certain amount of time, and Fox will deactivate the bomb and save the base from exploding. If you take too long, whichever members of Starwolf still remain, they will fly away, and you'll have to fight them again in a later level, and you'll still be stuck on the bottom tier. But as you can see, I'm about to take down the last member, Andrew himself, so I've pretty much already won the stage. Just make sure they don't take down your friends. You know, whenever you hear them crying for help, just shoot, you know, the members of Starwolf. A couple shots is all it takes to derail them. And just press the offensive and you'll win the stage pretty easily. Took me a lot of tries when I was new to this game, but I can do it pretty easily now. I love this shot. It is just so triumphant. Mission accomplished. Yeah, just completing a mission is easy, but all these extra little objectives that give you access to other tiers, you have to accomplish a mission by doing some special objective. So, it's a pretty good indicator of whether you've kind of failed a mission or not. They never say mission failed, they always just say mission complete. But if you manage to accomplish a mission, oh yeah, you know you're pretty awesome. So yeah, that's it for part 1 of this playthrough. It's probably the longest of all of these parts, well, aside from the finale anyway. The next part will be a little shorter. It's just going to be like more stages, and that's it. And next time I'm not going to Solar here, I'm going to go to Katana, and then Solar, and then Sector X. So that's going to be the focus of that part. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching, guys. I know this playthrough is a little awkward so far. I've ended up having to do a lot of other takes because I just wasn't satisfied with my performance. But I hope you're enjoying this so far. See you then.